hear me?
Yes. Is that good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Being a technophobe.
I love that the view of people when they're just about to go onto it and they're just like,
Yeah, trying to figure it out on the computer here.
yeah, I'm exactly the same as that. How are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good, thanks. You?
Yeah, really good, man. Thank you. Thank you for coming on as well and
No
taking your
problem.
time. How is it going with you at the moment? Did you say you were working yet?
Yes, we just started back a couple of weeks, maybe.
Yeah. It's good to be back though, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I enjoyed not working as well.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I did. It's weird though when something gets taken away from you that you I don't even know if I was taking it for granted, tattooing,
Yeah,
but I don't know. I think you can fall into that, can't you?
definitely.
You know, I think I definitely took it for granted, but that you realize very quickly when you can't actually do one, that just how much you would miss it if it gets taken away from you. But 4 months, I went 4 months without doing it.
Who's ever been 4 months without tattooing before, right?
It's a
Maybe
crazy.
2 weeks maximum before.
Yeah, I think, yeah, 2 weeks, because you go on holiday and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when you
Oh,
went.
you back now?
Yeah. I went back the day we were allowed to go back,
Yeah.
straight back on it, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
How was it? Did you remember how to tattoo?
do you know what? Right, it's funny that you say that, Jason, because because my friend said to me, it was like, I think it was like a month into it. We talked to each other every day, and he was like, "Oh, listen, man, I was thinking as well the other day. You know, when you go back, do you think you will have forgotten how to do it?" And I was like, no, I don't. I hope not. I hope not.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think I have. How was it for you?
Do you know what? It was strangely just easy straight away. I thought it might be weird for a bit, but it's pretty easy.
Yeah,
Well, apart from having to wear a mask or a visor or whatever.
yeah. That's the weird thing. I don't know how long that's going to go on for as well. I was saying to someone the other day that I think that's going to be until maybe phase 1 comes in and social distancing isn't a thing, you know. But
Yeah.
whenever that's going to be, I don't know. But yeah, thank you for coming on. And I've wanted to get you on for a while. As I said to you in the message, you're someone I'm trying to get people on that I see as to myself as massively influential and inspirational. And you, to me, as a UK artist, have always stuck out. I've always been there from when I started. I've been tattooing for 13 years. So with you, you've always been someone that's stuck out to me. How long have you actually been tattooing?
25 years.
Whoa, right,
20,
okay.
it'll be 20, 26 years this October.
Wow, right,
So a
okay.
while.
Yeah, it is a while. I was talking to Paul Booth the other day, and he said 30, and I thought that was a long time, but
Yeah.
25 years, 26 years. It goes fast, though, doesn't it? Time goes fast
No,
anyway.
no. I thought I'd be better after 26 years, you know. I feel kind of disappointed in a way, right? Thought I'd be
So,
better.
yeah. So much actual expectancy that you put on yourself,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
just as a human, anyway.
Right. It's funny, isn't it? In the beginning, you just can't wait to get a few years under your belt. Now I'd love to take a few years off, maybe. You know?
I think if you took it, I think like you went on a bit of a journey yourself during lockdown. I think that shows that if you took a few years off, you would actually grow as an artist anyway, because you're definitely
Yeah.
someone,
Yeah.
you know.
I just talked to a guy the other day who's a tattooist I've never met before. And he was talking about that. He didn't know any of the things I've been doing. He just goes, "How long have you been tattooing?" I said, 25 years. And he was a little bit like, you know, I guess you're kind of done by now, or there's nothing new, or whatever. I was like, actually, like, I'm more inspired and doing more different kind of art than I've ever done, you know? Definitely still growing and still super inspired, you know?
Yeah, that is one of the questions I was going to go on to actually. You know, like, say you've been tattooing 26 years, and as someone myself with 13 years, has it ever, or like you've kind of answered the question currently as it is, but have you ever felt like you're going stale? Have you ever felt like you hit a point where you're just like, I don't feel like I'm struggling to push with new ideas of way to push your work?
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. I'd like to say no, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Most of the time, honestly, I've got too many ideas, not enough time to do it. Like, I don't struggle with that, but sometimes, yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes just get bored of tattooing, even, you know, just the business side of it, you know, that kind of stuff.
yeah. That is it. That is. It's weird,
Actually, that's
isn't it?
the only bit that makes me not like it sometimes. It's just, people sometimes and dealing with, being the boss and stuff like that. I don't like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, man. It's weird, isn't it? Like, when you first opened your studio, were you working on your own?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you not sometimes crave that?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that sounds really antisocial, doesn't it? Because I think with our job, you're always with someone anyway. You know what I mean? So you can't be antisocial, but
Hmm.
when you're with somebody in a room and they're in close quarters, I suppose your wife might be in the same room as you, or your girlfriend
Yeah.
might be in the same room, but it's like when you're in close quarters with someone, you feel like you've always got to have a conversation anyway. And sometimes it is good to have someone there, but a
Yeah.
lot of the time when you're concentrating, you just want.
That's what I found in lockdown. It was quite nice. I could just paint for a bit, go and have a cup of tea. You know what I mean? Chill out. It's a bit weird when there's a person laying there.
Yeah, and it's
Go for a little walk.
yeah, go on, yeah, just take a break.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice.
And it is a commission based um art form that we're working in. I suppose
Yeah.
painters will do that and stuff like that, but with ours it's much more urgent. You don't get a chance to just like take a day off.
No.
There's a certain amount of pressure, isn't there?
Yeah, and then they're watching you,
Yeah.
and expecting you to entertain them a little bit as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know what, right, Jason? I found that it's weird with that situation because just recently, I think since I've been having these conversations with a lot of people that I look up to, I found that especially Marcus Lenhard is a mechanical artist, and he said that he will put headphones on. After a certain period of time, maybe half an hour passes by, formalities are pushed out of the way. They've passed the first half hour of actually being in pain, and they're having to deal with it. Then he just switches off, and he says, and I can really, this is like sat with me, and that's why I've started to do it. It kind of pushes them to a point where they can concentrate on the actual pain, and you can concentrate on actually rendering the image to the highest quality.
I agree.
Yeah.
I've always been a bit chatty, but recently I'm a bit more like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, I think I'm like that. I'm very chatty, but I don't know. There's something to it. Do you know, like, you've been tattooed quite a lot and extensively. You got a back piece from Jeff, but like,
Hmm.
how did you find the agony of that? Did you felt like you could talk, or did you felt like it was better to just lie there and just deal with it?
Well, just about every emotion you can imagine. Some of it, yeah, you could just chat, and other bits, like almost embarrassingly, I would do anything I could to distract myself from it. I was talking to a client about it the other day. Said I can remember just touching the bottom of the bed where it was cold. Do you know what I mean? Just to concentrate on that for a minute. And he goes, I was just doing that just now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you just know, don't you? You've done if you've been tattooed a lot, you've tried everything, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been through every kind of part of like clenching certain parts of your body,
Yeah.
yeah. I once got tattooed on my chest. I went down to London, and I was trying to deal with the pain so much that I was pushing my ankles together. My ankles were crossed over,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
pushing so hard to just put the pain down there or put my focus down
Yeah.
there, that after about 2 hours of doing that, he was like, "Okay, we'll take a break now, man." So I just sat up and then stood up and nearly fell over. I'm like, yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, it's weird,
Yeah,
man.
crazy.
It's
I did
weird.
have I had a really, really interesting experience with that when I was being tattooed by Jeff one time, and it was probably the only time I've ever done it successfully. Where I really tried that day, I was just like, I'm just giving in. I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to accept it, whatever. And then some weird stuff happened to me that day. Well, actually, not just that day. I got tattooed again 2 days later, and it was exactly like that again 2 days later. Yeah, like I didn't feel any pain.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like I wasn't me anymore. That
Wow.
sounds super weird. I'm going to get super weird here.
I love it.
But I was just whatever was aware of things. I was no longer me. It was super weird.
In a
I wouldn't
sense
have known how to describe that at the time either. I didn't say anything to anyone because they just think I'm strange. But I feel like I just let go a bit too much, maybe. I've never been able to recreate it, mind you.
in a sense of what? Just complete relaxation, just letting
Complete
go.
and utter, yeah. And so, like, what happened is I just thought, I'm just going to let go. And I had my eyes closed. So I'll explain it. I had my eyes closed and I could feel pain in the back of my leg and bum. It sounds really weird. I just assumed that's me. And I could hear music playing and I could hear a conversation at the other end of the shop. And then for some reason, I wasn't any of those things. I was just aware of them and I could feel no pain.
Wow.
So weird. I could move back towards that pain, feel it, move away from it, not feel it. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. That
That
sounds
was,
so cool. That sounds really good. Like,
so the last 4 hours of the tattoo were like that. And of course, I just tried to concentrate and not lose it because it felt pretty cool not to be in any pain. 2 days later, it was like that the whole 8 hours. I couldn't have lost the feeling if I tried. It was insane.
wow, really?
Honestly, I honestly think I could have took any pain in the world and not felt it.
Man, you need to teach that. Whatever happened at that point, you need to do a seminar on that.
It was insane. I mean, I wish I knew. I wish I could get that back now. Honestly, as well, the feeling lasted 2 weeks.
Really?
2 weeks, and one day I woke up and it was just gone. I just noticed it didn't feel the same. It's weird, isn't it? No
Dude,
idea what it was.
that's
All I
brilliant.
know is, do you want to get super weird about it?
Go for it.
So all I knew is at the time, I knew for sure that I'm the universe
Right. Okay. Yeah.
and that everything is exactly how it's meant to be. Everything's perfect.
You definitely felt present at that point, and in that situation, you knew you were there, but it was almost like you weren't in your body, but you were. Because if you were in
But
your
it's just
body,
like I was aware of all the things, and my body was one of the things to be aware of.
wow, wow, that's like
It's
a living out of body experience. It's weird,
yeah,
isn't it? I don't know.
yeah. I have no idea what it was.
Again, you need to try
But
and
it
figure that
felt,
out and
but
do a
it
seminar.
felt like, without any shadow of a doubt, the best feeling I've ever had in my life. It felt fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was collecting, what was that? You did one tattoo session and then 2 days later you did another one. Was that two separate artists?
No, it's the same with Jeff because Leanne was getting tattooed as well. So we just went one day. I got it, and then she got it the next day. Just so we
Wow.
could have a day off in between.
Right. Okay. Yeah. 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 And you
So
did,
I would have never expected to feel that way again 2 days later. But it was
no.
insane. I couldn't lose it. Didn't have to concentrate. It was just mad.
Yeah. My friend William, he's been tattooed by Jeff. He got tattooed by Jeff and Marcus at the same time. And he says,
I know William. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, he's a legend. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But he he's probably gonna listen to this. But he talks to me about the agony. He said from the moment it started to the moment it finished, he was almost on the verge of being like, I'm done. I can't do this. But it's weird, isn't it? Even when you might have had that. You've had some really good sessions there where you've dealt with the pain, but some sessions where you're just like, you're trying to find your way out of the situation. But hours pass by where you're trying to figure out, well, can I go now? Is there a way I can tell them that I need to finish now? You know?
God, yeah. That constant battle. Like,
Yeah.
can I go a little bit more? Should I try and? Sometimes I make little noises that really mean, please, could you stop hurting me now?
Yeah.
If I'm being fully honest.
Yeah. Plus, hey, man, like, as a working tattoo artist yourself, and I've had to deal with it loads. You can read that feeling as well, can't you? With people that you are tattooing, you know when they're all. I almost see it like Tekken, the old computer game where you get a bar that goes down.
Sure.
It's how much you can deplete that bar before they're almost like, okay, I'm out. You know.
I feel a bit like sometimes if they've still got energy to complain, then they're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes they're just done, aren't they? They can't speak. They can hardly do anything. You're like, okay, I should probably let you stop now.
Yeah, I remember when I went down again to London. I was getting tattooed by Zhao Bosco, and he lined the whole of my arm, and then he started doing the background shading. We got to about 8 hours, and I was voluntarily shaking, and even at that point, because I looked up to him so much, I was just trying not to show any weakness to the point I was like clenching my teeth. I was doing this, but I couldn't hide the fact that my body was going, stop.
Yeah.
You need to stop now, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And at that point, he was like, you want to stop now, man? We can stop, you know? I'm like, yeah, actually, yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's crazy. I've definitely been like that where I've tried to be tough and tried to do all that. I'm not sure that's good for you to go past that kind of level, though. I don't think that's good. I let people tap out these days. I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you ever really at that point where they're done? I'm like, cool, we don't need to do it anymore now.
Yeah.
Maybe if they've flown a long way or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, do you ever do any double day sessions with your clients?
Yeah. Brutal though, isn't it? 2 days. It's so tough.
It's crazy, man. I can't imagine that. Well, I suppose I've got a few booked in just coming up over the next 4 months where it's like they're going to come in and it's 2 days at a time. So we'll see how they manage their pain. But I don't know. But anyway, that's that. We went down a huge rabbit hole there and I can't wait to go down some more. So when you obviously we could go right the way back with you, man, but like what was your first recollection of tattoos in general before you even became a tattoo artist? Did you collect it? Did you see anybody on any relatives or anything like that? Or what was
I
your
think
first
when
recollection?
I was super young, we had a tattoo studio quite near where we lived. And I just walked past and be a bit fascinated because, you're not allowed in. And
Yeah.
I've no idea why. You're just fascinated anyway. Yeah. You always want to kind of sneak a peek in the window or whatever. Didn't even really know what. Actually, no, that's a lie. My very first, geez, I forgot about this. My stepdad was tattooing my mum's name on his arm with like a needle and cotton, like Indian ink. I was 10, and he put a little tattoo on my wrist, just a little dot of the ink. I just thought this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a little tattoo when I was 10.
I always think that. I remember when the first time I tried it, and just something weird about that. What you've just said then, the moment the ink went in, and it was like, oh, it does stay in.
Yeah.
Oh shit, right, okay. And it's almost like game on at that point. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems to ignite something in you. I don't know if that's been
Yeah.
around for many, many like centuries, but it's
Yeah.
that weird thing of like, oh, this is permanent now. This is
I
cool,
remember my very first like actual tattoo. I remember sitting in the bathroom like a couple of days later, just looking at it, thinking, "Wow, do I really want that there forever?" You know what I mean? Obviously, within a few seconds, I was like, "Oh, cool, that's what it is now." It's just that realization. I think like that's really there forever.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere,
Yeah.
like, yeah. That's what I think that's the cool thing about tattoos. I was about to literally go down another rabbit hole, but I'm going to stay on
Yeah. Okay.
the start there. Like, so that was obviously your first recollection of
Yeah.
tattooing. But did you start? When did your like foray into like art in general start? Did your parents do any kind of art or anything like that? Did you see it throughout your family? When were you exposed to that?
I think my granddad used to paint a little bit. I wasn't super aware of it, but like a little bit. I thought I was an artist since I was 5. Like if you asked me, I'd tell you I'm an artist. Like
Right. Yeah.
that's just what it is. I think I'd drawn Spider-Man really well or something at school, and everyone said it was good. So I was like, cool. I guess I must be an artist then.
I suppose you were.
Yeah,
Like,
but then that was it. I had no doubt in my mind that was it. That's what I was from that moment on. About 5 years old.
yeah, I suppose you are actually, aren't you? It's from the moment you start actually drawing. My kids at the moment, as soon as they start drawing, like they draw now, even if it's just the most rudimentary thing, it's still art, isn't it?
Actually, it's even better when it's like that, right? Just a real honest expression. Like that's super cool, isn't it? No one's trying to look cool by drawing a cool thing.
Yeah, and there's no actual outside influence or ego to deal with to a certain degree, is there?
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care. Probably we ruin them by praising them or whatever. Then they want to do it for praise after that. That probably spoils it a little bit, doesn't it?
Wow, you've just completely altered my mindset towards my kids now.
I mean, don't stop praising them, but
No,
it makes it about something else then, doesn't it? Like when I would draw those pictures and people would say they were good, I guess I wanted people to think they were good after that. I don't know.
yeah, 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 actually, yeah, because you're doing it for yourself, and then as soon as you get praise from someone, you realize that you're in a cycle then of almost trying to please someone else, which is really weird. We're so strange as humans, aren't we? Like the
Oh,
idea of,
but how quick that just like,
yeah,
now that's what I want from it. As much as I still like it, I like that more. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's gratification, though, isn't it? I think we're still we deal like that. We deal with that all the time for some weird reason. And you almost have to unlearn it, but that trying to unlearn that is just the hardest shit ever, I think.
There's so much stuff, isn't there, though? Geez, that's another rabbit hole. But as a human, the stuff that you think you know, but you don't know anything. Like
Yeah,
you're just operating in this tiny little bandwidth of just your comfort zone. Like
yeah,
terrified to know what's really out there.
yeah. Like especially in our industry, let alone not even an oil painter or a charcoal drawer or anything like that, just as a tattoo as a medium on its own, just in that realm to slowly be exposed over the years to people that you're just like, where did you come from? Like, how have you been, like there's people coming from like the Ukraine or these people like coming out that you're just like, hold on a minute, like how long have you been tattooing and where did you come from? Because this work looks completely ridiculous, you know?
Yeah. It's cool, isn't it? It's super cool.
Yeah, that's a plus to, sometimes it's a plus to Instagram, you know, for all the things that are pretty bad about it to a certain degree that you can get caught up in. That's only if you can't manage your own addiction to a certain degree, but, or at that point, if you could call it an addiction, but the idea of seeing just how many people are out there absolutely killing it to you, you know, as other people might see it and be like, I don't like that. But you look at it and be like, that is some next level shit, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've been doing that recently with a bunch of like abstract artists I found on Instagram. I found loads of them, and I'm just like, these guys are ninja. No one cares about them. Like most of them, they have no one care about. I'm like, what the hell? These guys are incredible.
That's well
So
good.
strange.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Yeah, so yeah, when you first realize that you get gratification as a kid, it must I think that's when it starts then. So like as you moved on from that point though, like at what point did you obviously you were drawing as time went on and you were creating art to a certain level. Did you do any jobs before you became a tattoo artist?
Yeah, loads of crappy jobs.
Yeah.
I just thought I didn't like work. I just thought it's not for me, you know. Obviously, you have to do what you have to do, but I just thought, God, this is miserable, isn't it? Like most people. Is this what life is? It's just miserable. Because I didn't know you could make money out of being an artist. I didn't realize that was a thing. You know? I mean, I guess you could, but you'd probably have had to have been to university or know the right people or studied. And I never studied any art. I just did it, you know.
I think that's a hard thing though, isn't it? You know, we're very, very lucky that every single day, if you choose to be, and you know, you can get someone that will come in and you will do a piece of commissioned artwork on them and they're guaranteed to give you money for it. And then the next day, a new fresh person will come in and you can do the same. But if you're an artist that's prolifically, you know, like pushing out artwork and paintings, etc., to try and sell that on a regular basis is a fucking hard sell, you know, like, you know, so, but there's something about tattoos that kind of, I don't know, that people are like, yeah, you can be booked up for however long and people will give you a ton of money every single day to create that art. There's something about it. I don't know, it's because they're wearing it and they've got it on them, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is either, but it's pretty cool for us. But we're super lucky though, aren't we? We just came along at the right time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like we've got the best job in the world. I mean, there's a lot of jobs and a lot of perks to certain jobs, but I don't know. I definitely feel like that to a certain degree.
Well, I feel like as well for myself, I'm right at the right time. I mean, you could barely make a living doing this when I first started doing it. You know, it wasn't like a full-time job. So we're like the first generation, you know. Those guys before us, like the Lau Hardys and the people like that, really, you know, set us up, didn't they? Really, you know, because they weren't making a full-time living out of it. I bet.
No, I can't imagine. You know, especially. No, I can't imagine actually, because now you know, like you know, like Ed Hardy's not going to do a full day session, is he? He's going to do something that takes an hour or something each and every single time. But now we get people that come in for a full day. You've sat there and they'll give you you've got a day rate or you've got this, and you know you're guaranteed a certain amount of money. And yeah, I can't imagine that they would actually. It would be super lucrative until you know, I don't know even know then if he becomes so sought after that people were like, I'm going to get, you know, a tattoo from him. I don't know, but we're very lucky though. I think we are definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely a good time to be a tattoo artist, and it's also getting better. And it's cool to see it's progressing. Like I say, I've only been doing it for 13 years. And just in that period of time, from when I first came on and you first seeing your work and people like that, and just being like, wow, right, okay, there's levels to this, okay, you know.
I mean, and I'll never forget that. I remember just thinking, if I could just do this job and not have to have another job. Can I just get one?
It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
Oh, so unprofessional.
Absolutely fine. Just I'll act like it never happened. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, I was just saying, my dream was to be able to do this job and not have to have another job.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't care what kind of things I was tattooing. That would have been my wildest dream, to just not have to have another job, you know. So
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. So I'm super grateful, you know.
You know, when
Then
you,
you get to the point where like you can pretty much tattoo what you want, you travel the world, you do whatever. You're like, what happened here? This is pretty cool, you know.
you've almost unlocked the golden key then, haven't you? And you're like, oh, but let's get to that golden key in a certain sense.
Mhm.
Because I wonder, uh, obviously, when you first started, you would have, as most tattoo artists, not every single tattoo artist does this, but as most tattoo artists, did you go through the stage of having to pay your dues, tattooing what people wanted, all this kind of stuff, doing all the
Yeah,
things that
cool.
were in fashion and like tribal and things like that?
Yeah, I did loads of tribal, loads of stuff like that. Again, to be honest with you, there wasn't really, there was only a few people probably in the world doing black and grey even at that time. There wasn't even really a thing. And at that point, I could get like one tattoo magazine every 2 months and then hope that there might be someone in it, like a Paul Booth picture or, you know, one of the guys that I was into at that time. I had no idea how you, because I was drawing pencil forever. I had no idea how I could tattoo like that. So I had to
Yeah.
try and figure that out by studying their pictures. And then I saw a picture one day that was kind of half healed and half fresh. Realized it was kind of brown and like that, you know, kind of redness in the skin. I was like, that's what they did. They just watered the, because I tried various ways to do it. Like I had to figure it
Right.
out like that. Do you know what I mean? Or I'd study the articles about the tattooists and look what they had in the background, like what equipment they had and things like that. You know?
Yeah.
Because I just
Yeah.
taught myself. I wasn't like an apprentice or anything.
Right, wicked. So how did that happen
Okay.
then? Were you, so I've heard so many different stories, dude. So how did that happen then? Did you tattoo at home for a while?
Yeah. And I bought some equipment from a local tattooist. He sold me some stuff, and he'd make needles for me and sterilize them for me and whatever.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was all cool like that. Actually, it turns out I was pretty clean compared to most of the tattoo studios I go to at that time. You know, when you're, because you've always got that thing where you feel like you need to do a bit more to prove that you're, and it turns out you're actually doing way more than most other people, you know.
Yeah, that when you actually realize that, it's quite shocking, isn't it? You know, when you see how some certain people practice it, it's like, whoa,
I'm
okay.
not going into that, but I've seen some shocking things over the years.
Yeah, it's weird, man. But like, so how did you find the guy who would help you then? You know, like you say, you tattooed from home, but there was a guy that made you needles. How did you come across that guy? Was he working in a studio?
Yeah, he was a local tattooist, but you know, I just approached him about an apprenticeship. But and he already had an apprentice, so he didn't want one. But he was just a cool guy. He was just like, sell me some crappy equipment, but it was okay. It's all you needed, isn't it? You know, make some needles for me and whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it was a start. Like as far as I'm concerned, I owe that guy forever. You know, like whatever happens, I never don't owe that guy something. You know.
Yeah, I'm like that, to be honest, man. I remember the shop that I ended up working in. Um, there were so many different ways along the road that were like, oh, I could stop now. That's
Yeah.
definitely the time to stop. I should find another job. This is ridiculous, you know. But when I got into an actual studio and I was being taught properly, he before that he did a tattoo on me, and it was like a dragon on my arm that comes up onto my chest. And you know, like full disclosure, like I didn't like it when he did it. From the moment he did it, I didn't like it, and to this day I don't like it. But it definitely paid its dues, because you know, me spending time with him, I must have spent hours with him. He got to like me, got to know me, and then he heard on the grapevine that I was working in like an alchemy shop selling,
Well,
like, you know, stuff
yeah,
like
I know.
crystals and things.
Yeah, yeah.
And in
We
the
used to
back,
sell some of that stuff in our shop when we first started.
yeah. So in
Yeah,
the back of there, they were just chucking out tattoos, and I started working in there. And he'd heard that I was working in there, and then he kind of uh, poached me, but not. There was no poaching going. I wasn't good at all. He was just like, you know, I need someone. I want an apprentice, and I know that you're passionate for it, so you want to come and do it. So when I look at that chest tattoo and I look at the arm, I have
yeah,
no ill will towards it, because just like you said, it's paid its dues. You
yeah,
know,
definitely.
it definitely does. But I don't know. Like, so when you first did that, how long did it take you? Here's the big question. I think you're kind of answering it a little bit as well. To go from tattooing the things that people were wanting at that point, to the point where you kind of coined your death romantic style. When did that happen? When did you
Well,
start?
so that's a super long story there. Death romantic, like that's another
Yeah,
kind of cool story actually. But just to start with, like um, just simple stuff. Like people would come with an idea, and I'd draw something for them, and I'd always do the kind of I draw what I wanted to draw and what they asked for. I just try and present my one with a little bit more enthusiasm. Do you know what I mean? And they never wanted it. They always wanted my one. You know, and I was never like pushing it so far that it was wildly different, but just to try and make it a little bit more the way I would want to do it, you know.
yeah,
And I guess it's the same even now. If you've got something new you want to do, you just have to get it on some people. You just have to get some people to get it. Then other people see it and then they go, oh, cool, that's a cool thing. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
People
yeah,
aren't that clever, are they? They see it on someone else and they go, that looks cool. But until then, they're very like wary about if it's new. They don't want to be the first one. They want to look like their friends, or they want to have the stuff that their friends have got. Like, you know.
yes, yes,
I
very
mean,
well
there's
said.
some people that are super like they're up for anything brand new, but they're rare, aren't they?
Yeah, what did Josh say the other day? He said they're like a unicorn. The regular, some people come around and they're like unicorns. They're just so rare, you know, like the person that comes to all your sessions with all the money and just lets you do whatever you want and is
And
open.
they've
It's
got
like an
perfect
open book.
skin. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got perfect skin. Everything is great. If you get any cancellations, they're always there, you know.
Like, how many people have you ever tattooed with perfect skin?
Oh
Like,
gosh,
perfect.
it's
Maybe
so hard.
5 ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just perfect. It's true though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is true. It really is true. And it's hard to explain with stuff like that, but you know when you get someone and everything that I think when you first start shading something in someone and you can just see how it settles down into the skin almost like instantly. You know,
Yeah.
like sometimes some skin takes a while to not be so
Yeah.
aggravated, but some skin's just like, I'm okay, you can keep going, you know.
Some days you have to work for it, don't you? Some
Yeah,
days you have to
yeah.
work really hard.
Yeah, for sure. But then so how did you stumble on did you so you're saying
Oh,
basically
so
no, it's okay,
okay.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So then I would just do that. And really it was just through seeing you know, really in the early days, it was being inspired by people like Paul Booth, really. So I'd seen other black and grey stuff like Jack Rudy and I mean, I was super inspired by like Guy Aitchison and Bugs at the time and guys like that. They're all the sort of big name guys. But then I saw Paul Booth stuff and I was like, I don't know what this is, but
Yeah.
here's the stuff.
Yeah,
Then
man.
probably just spent way too many years copying that style because I just thought, well, I don't know what else you can do. He's nailed it.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? That I think what you were touching on there is it's a weird one. The idea of when is you know like because you I mean everything's influenced by everything, isn't it? You know, like from the moment
Sure.
you're you know when you start being an artist, you start to be influenced by everything and it formulates your own vision and that's your art to a certain degree. But it's so hard as a tattoo artist to see other people's work and not think that's a fucking great idea.
Yeah.
Come here, I'm going to do it on you. Come, you know what I mean? You've got
Yeah.
to try and have your own vision to have that own thing. But I think it's such a weird thing to not be influenced by other people. But I think you've got to be, but it's
I
hard.
think it's like someone explained, like if you're a football fan and you watch a footballer do some cool trick, you want to go practice that and learn how to do it. Do you know what I mean? So it is a compliment in a way. I just think don't get stuck in it. Like and so this is how I'd probably describe it. So when I first came into tattooing, I like drawing in black and white. I like kind of portraiture, and obviously I had some personal issues. So I was you know, like the darker stuff or whatever. And it feels like to me, if I was going to explain how it works, is when you start tattooing, there's all these styles. You don't realize that that style means a person made that up. You just think that's a style, that there's a bunch of people working in this one.
Yeah,
And then you pick the one that seems like it's the most you, or you go through all of them and figure out, I like this one more. So this is kind of, so you're figuring out, I'm roughly in this area. This is roughly me. Yeah.
yeah,
And then probably, so like that darker black and grey stuff, I was like, this is kind of me. I like portraits as well and realism. And then it took a long time to realize after that that this isn't exactly me. This is exactly Paul Booth. That's why we all like it, because he found him. Like
yeah,
he was really expressing himself perfectly.
exactly.
Right? And that's why it's so attractive to people, because when someone just nails it, when they're really being honest, it's super attractive, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of perfect expression. And then actually I had it was really fortunate because I was at a tattoo convention it was in Dublin, 2001. And me and a friend were there and we got tattooed by Paul. And it was super cool. And, you know, like we were both like fanboys and whatever. And it was probably one of the first conventions where people were thinking I was like cool and my work was good. But it was completely ripping off Paul Wu's style. I didn't know that was, I just thought it was influence because I wasn't copying his pictures, but I was definitely working in that style. And my friend who'd been tattooed were on the way home and I just thought I was great because everyone was telling me how cool I was and whatever. And he said to me, he goes, oh, that's cool. He said, if you want to be the second best Paul Booth ever. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, if he hadn't have said that, that would have never, the penny may never have even dropped. And I was like, he's right. He's like, you're only ever going to be the second best Paul Booth, like however good you think you are. And I was like, motherfucker.
That's so good.
Right?
Yeah.
But how lucky, what a good friend to say that.
Yeah.
Because that's not a fucking, most people wouldn't say that to you, would they?
No.
Like, yeah, cool, if that's what you want to be. And then obviously some time passed when I'm trying to divulge that and trying to figure out, okay, what is me? And then I just took a couple of years of stop looking at anyone's work just to try and drop that, you know?
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. God, just to have the willpower to do that. Like, well,
But
it's
I
not.
could have not. This is my whole problem. It's not my problem. It's a little bit like, and I know this is switching subjects. Someone said to me the other day, you're so brave in the stuff that you're doing at the minute because it's so different and whatever. Like, I don't consider it brave. I'm just compelled to do it.
Yeah.
Like when that guy had said to me, you'll only be the second best Paul Booth, it's like, well, what else can you do then?
Yeah, exactly.
Admit to being the second best something. And as well, it's not like when you just, you know, you've got something in you, something that's real, that's you to express. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
definitely.
wouldn't just accept being the second best somebody else, would you?
No.
I was super lucky that guy said that.
It's mad, isn't it? Certain people at certain points, but if without them, like, you just wonder if you would have ever taken that turn and done anything different, you know?
That's a deep subject, isn't it? Like,
yeah, but in it, it's so weird. Like, you know, like, is there a reason whoa, is there a reason I've chosen to ask you to speak to you? Are you going to say something to me today that's going to change my life? You know, it's mad.
Yeah, but of course, that's exactly how it works, isn't it? Like, I fully believe that stuff. Well, I don't know what I believe about it, but I just give in to that. I give in to that, you know, like coincidences, whatever you want to call it, whatever.
Yeah.
I know when if I'm on a good path, like spiritually, mentally, whatever, those things happen to me all the time. Good things like coincidences or the right person just pops up and the right thing all the time.
Yeah,
I
100%.
used to think that stuff just happened randomly, but now I've figured out by getting older, it's when I'm on a good path, when things are going well. Stuff like that comes up all the time.
Yeah. And I think you're way more open to see it as you get older as well. You start to experience certain things. Life starts chipping away at you, and you seem a bit more like, oh man, that's for that. And without that happening, that wouldn't have happened.
Not see that though, right? How would you not?
Yeah.
And you're like, imagine if I hadn't done that thing, I'd never been a tattooist. And without, like, well, Paul Booth hadn't happened. Like, what would tattooing be without that guy?
Yeah, I know.
What about a really seriously important person in that world that changed so many people's lives, right?
Yeah.
If he'd have just not picked up the tattoo machine or he'd have done something else, you know?
Somebody that it's really weird as a medium as well, because somebody that would dare to actually do something different and try, because like the way he explained it to me, Paul, it was just saying, you know, like he'd seen other people do certain things. He saw one thing and was like, I like that, but I've got this darkness in here and I want to try and get this darkness out, and this is my way of doing it. And it's like the idea of having the balls to be able to do that, because there'll be people doing it now. There's people that do it now. You do it now. The idea of being like, right, I've got this vision, because some of the pieces that you've been doing over the past, like 5-6 years, where you've gone for really smooth edges, you know, detail in certain parts and all this kind of stuff. It's really super abstract. And sometimes people can look at it and not see something until they see it. And when they see it, there's this really beautifully rendered face. But sometimes you might not be able to see it, but it's there. And I think it's having the balls to be able to do that. It's like certain pieces that have just left pure skin. That takes a lot of balls to be able to do that.
It's a lot of balls, isn't it? Definitely.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I definitely need people like that to make the industry grow, or not even the industry, the artistic side of the industry, because obviously I believe there's tattooists and then there's tattoo artists. You know, there's people that will just do it as a job, and then there's people that do it because it's a medium and you can tell how set apart they are.
Yeah, and I don't even mean that in any disrespect for anybody. I like everyone that does it. I like all the styles. I'm a fan of tattooing in general, but there's definitely a difference there, isn't there?
I think so, Jason. I think so. I think, and it's so apparent to see. You can see it's like night and day. Someone that will just copy something or something like that, or somebody that's like, no, I've got something and I need a canvas to do it on. And then when you you find people. I think that I asked you a question, and I think the answer to the question, to a certain degree, with everyone involved with this, is finding with this medium the right, just one person to do this piece on, and then everyone else sees the vision you've got and they're like, I like what you did there, is there any chance you can, boom, done, you know?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, it's mad, man. It's like, it's cool though. Again, it's super cool, and I enjoy it. Have you always, I mean, you work across so many different mediums. What was the first medium you were ever using apart from drawing? Did you do any oil painting when you were younger? Do you have any formal art training?
None.
What the fuck?
No.
It's so fucking demoralizing when you say stuff like, when people ask people that it was artwork, I was on such a high level, and the rendering is on
But you know
such.
what? Like, I think too many people get caught up in that side of it.
Maybe.
I could not care less about technique. Like, I only want as much technique so it's believable. As long as you're not like, you know what I mean? Doesn't just enough to make it look believable. Then any more than that, I think, is masturbating. I feel like it's pointless. It's just showing off. It's no, you know what I mean? And some people, their expression comes, but some people express themselves through that technique, and that's cool. I use my art, that stuff, my technique, to express other things. So I would rather put more energy into the expression side of it.
Yeah.
I think there's too many people as well. I was talking about this with someone the other day about art in general. They don't know that you're supposed to feel art predominantly. They think you're supposed to look at it. They feel safe and they like it when there's a thing that looks like a thing. I know what that thing is. They didn't even know they're meant to feel it. They think it's just about, I like skulls. There's a skull. That must be cool. Do you know what I mean? I find that distracting almost, the thing in it. Having the thing is almost annoying.
Yeah, having a subject matter.
Because you have a feeling about the subject matter one way or the other. And now you're distracted,
But I think that I think that like everything in life, like I'm different to you. Every single human is different. So the way they will perceive something or consume something, so different. So it's like you were saying there, it's so true. You've got to feel something. Sometimes people can't feel shit. They're dead inside, or like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry, that was really bad.
No, because this is this stuff as well. Like, you have to be quite subtle to understand this stuff. We're talking about really quiet, subtle things here. This isn't for regular people always, is it?
Yeah, no,
I'm not trying to sound superior. Just for some reason, like I was asking someone recently. This is a super weird thing to explain, but so like, what's your favorite thing about you? And she said something like my hands or something like that. And I was like, I like the fact that I'm really sensitive. Or really, do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't trade that for anything. Like, this is what I'm saying. This is sensitive stuff. She felt bad afterwards. She's like, hands? Why did I say hands? I didn't know the answer was, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't trade that for the world, because this is the stuff we're talking about, right? You've got to be really subtle to understand these little nuances and these little things. But it's not for everyone. That's cool.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
I'm using my art to try and understand myself.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with someone recently. I was like, what do people do who don't have art? How do they learn about themselves? How do you figure out who you are and what you are without, this is our vehicle. We're so lucky that we have a thing. As long as you're doing it the right way, and I'm not knocking making art for money and drawing things and tattooing things, because I do it sometimes. Just if that's what the person wants, I just want to maybe spend a day with a nice person. I don't really care what the picture is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it comes to art, I'm trying to figure out who I am, and this is my vehicle to figure that out. What the fuck do people do who don't have this in their life?
Yeah, because it's so true, you know, especially over so many different creative mediums. Like, even if you're a musician, you know, there's people out there that don't like music, Jason. And
Which
so
is
there's
weird.
yeah, this is what's weird about humans, though, like just in general. Um, and I don't even know if that's even true. I think that people, they don't believe they don't like something, but something will touch them somewhere on some level. Like, I don't
You,
like music, but you
I
know,
was thinking when you said that, how can you not like music? It's just sound.
yeah,
How can
yeah,
you not like appreciate some noise? I mean, come on. Or
uh,
have it touch you in some way, you know? That's
yeah,
all it means. Even if you didn't like it, it touched you, right?
yeah,
You don't have to like it. You just have
yeah.
to have a feeling about it, right?
Yeah, it's weird. It's really subjective as well. Like, you know, like I always think about stuff like this. You know, like imagine walking into the Sistine Chapel and seeing just the whole ceilings covered in just curly tribal, spiky tribal. You know,
Yeah.
like people. There's some people that walk in and be like, oh yeah, that's sick. You know, I love it, really cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I want to go in and see the original. That, you know, obviously what's painted there in general anyway. But that's again another version of art being subjective to each and every single person, and everybody feels things on different levels. So like, yeah, I get that. It's weird. Some people, the idea of having to feel art is lost on some people, but to the most important people that actually do create art, I don't think it's lost.
No, no, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But yeah, so how long was it until you eventually got? So hold on a minute, I didn't even. We'll go back to that. So you didn't do any oil painting or anything like that. So what were you doing before you did tattooing? Because I feel like what happens to certain humans who become tattoo artists, they, it's really weird. That's their first serious medium. And then from that point on, they're like, oh, fuck. They actually realize just how incredible other mediums can be. You know, like
Yeah.
you become more open to going
Mhm.
into a museum and seeing a Rembrandt piece, or and just being like, holy shit, this, who did this and how did they do this? And then that just opens another book. You know, it's really strange.
Yeah, that's pretty much me, really. I'd just drawn before that, just pencils and stuff. I think it's probably meeting Leanne, to be honest. And she was an art student at the time. She was at university. And I'd go to galleries. I didn't know any painters or, you know the sort of obvious ones. And you just walk into a gallery and you just see something, and it turns out it was some super cool painting, like a Francis Bacon or something. And I'd just be, well, what the hell is that? Like, I just have to go over and look at that. Like, I don't even know what it is. Turns out it was a super cool painting. Do you know what I mean? By an
Yeah.
amazing artist. But it just touches you in that way. And I'm like, what is this stuff? That you can just, like, the hairs on the back of your neck come on, and you're just looking at a painting. I was like, what the hell's going on here, you know?
Yeah.
And so you're right, it's super exciting, isn't it, when you find this whole, like, a new world, really.
Yeah, and just how weird it is. Well, not weird. It's not weird. Just how cool it is that it leads on from one of the most strangest art forms artistic mediums you could
Yeah,
probably learn. You know.
yeah. Yeah, we started with the weirdest, hardest one.
Yeah. The canvas that bleeds and
Yeah,
moves and moans and groans and complains
yeah, for
and
sure.
you know, it's really strange how you have to deal with that first to start opening the other book and stuff like that. It's cool though. I think it's cool because I think who inspired you then from that point on? Because it's like you talked about your early influences in
Mhm.
tattooing, but who as an artist would you say that Jeff or anybody like that,
Yeah,
with you know, as a tattoo artist stroke painter?
yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's funny, just to go back on what we were saying before, that it feels like I started off this tiny little thing, learned this little thing, and then it's just unfolded ever
Yeah,
since then. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because yeah, I was going to say I was lucky enough that I'd been tattooing long enough that I was quite comfortable with that. But also, you feel like, sort of talking about early, being a little bit stale. Like, I wouldn't mind being able to loosen up a bit or whatever. And then of course, just lucky enough that you know some people. And I think it's Joe Harrison, actually. Maybe she'd done a workshop with Jeff, or she'd done his seminar or something. She was telling me about his seminar and how she cried in his seminar, and I was like, Jesus, you're such a girl. Um, and then because she knew him, he was doing this painting workshop, and so she got us a spot on his painting workshop. So that's where I learned to paint.
wow, wow, that's where that opened up then.
Yeah, And so
Yeah.
we did, and then we did like I don't know how long we were there for, maybe a few days or a week or something like that. You know, and he taught us his stuff, and it was all pretty cool. Actually, I've been a bit of a baby because it just wasn't working for me the first time we went, and I just wanted to impress him. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted.
For sure.
I went surfing with him and a bunch of other people, and I couldn't even really swim just to impress him. I wouldn't call it surfing. I'd call it wrestling with the surf.
Try not to die.
Yeah,
Try not to drown.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was quite a frustrating experience at one point, but it obviously sets you on that journey, doesn't it? You know?
It does, man.
Yeah, because then I'd gone away maybe a couple of years. I'd done maybe another workshop with someone else. I tried some things. I felt like, geez, I've forgotten everything. I'm rubbish now. Went back to Jeff's another time, did another workshop with him, and it was like, oh, I've got it now.
Yeah.
Well, not I've got it, but I've got the system that works for me. Like I understand it. And from then it felt like, so it probably took 2 years before I felt like I was in charge of it, not the other way around. Like I could control it how I wanted.
Yeah, you could push paint to a certain point where
within a certain realm. I'm not like amazing or anything, but like it felt like I was more in control then.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You are fucking incredible, but I know what you're saying. It's like the idea of being able to, because it is just isn't that, it is just that, isn't it? You know, like for anyone that's listening, the idea of it generally is to just unlock the skill to be able to express yourself. You know, it's like you have to learn how to paint oil around, push oil around a canvas to the point where it will look how you want it to look in here. You know,
that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember having this weird conversation with my apprentice once, and I wanted the emotion of like a butterfly. I was like, I don't want to draw a butterfly. I want to emote that. I want to, do you know what I mean? And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? And it probably about 3 years later, I was like, oh, I think I've got it. Finally. Because it's not something you can explain, is it? Like, say you listen to music, and I don't want to be inspired by, the way I'd be inspired by music is I want my art to feel like that music feels. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What a ridiculous way to explain it. Like, how on earth do you go about making that happen? Right?
I don't know.
You know what I mean, though? Like,
I do exactly know what you mean, because there's one person that's made, I think we were talking about him before, but he's definitely an undeniable artist. Jeff, he did a few series of paintings that he just nicknamed like, you know, songs from, you know, song names from Tool. And I was just like, mate, yes. Like when I see that fucking picture, it reminds me of Parabola, you know, and I can imagine you going on a journey, listening to that sonic sound wave and just being like, yeah, man, that's that picture. Like, you know, like, you know, there's a few artists that do that. I don't know that you can correlate that artistic vision to. Alex Gray's another one that just creates stuff, especially because they used his artwork a lot. So I don't know if it's been subjectively put in my head. But when I listen to certain Tool songs or certain Tool albums as a whole, you can just imagine an Alex Gray painting, you know, just evolving. And
sure.
it's a shame Alex Gray didn't become a tattoo artist. Although actually that pushes on to something else, because I just don't think that, again, it's a weird medium, isn't it? Because there's definitely people out there that I'm not going to name. I just feel like they were an incredible painter, like someone who could put, you know, a show on and sell it out 10 times over. They become a tattoo artist and it's really mediocre tattooing.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, like it's so strange.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
I just don't understand it. And not only that, well, I suppose it is what it is, but how their style's different completely to like the paintings that they do, and then they decide to become a tattoo artist and just pick a separate, completely different.
See, I know people like that. Leanne used to be like that. Leanne used to have one style for painting, one style for tattooing. And it's only we'd have to have some pretty hard conversations. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, do you know what I mean? You're amazing at this. Well, actually, with Leanne, it was quite funny because we were doing these life drawing classes. We'd go on separate days. I went with somebody else or whatever. She'd come home sometimes and show me what she'd drawn. When she said, oh, do you want to see what I've done today? That means I just fucking nailed it at life drawing. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to see what amazing art I made? So I'm like, yeah, cool. And she would do some stuff in like ink or watercolor. And you know, when I'm like, I'm almost like, when I'm thinking about it now, I'm like, I was so moved.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say anything. I don't even have the words to I almost want her to know how good that is. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? And then, so the more this happened, I was like, why are you tattooing that way? Why don't your tattoos look like that?
Yeah.
And it probably took us 6 months of trying to persuade her, like, do this stuff. And it's like these watercolor things that you're doing. Like, you're incredible at that. But she was one of those people. It was always like sections, like, I do oil paintings. This is an oil painting, and this is a tattoo. And I just try and make everything look like everything else I do.
Yeah.
Like I recently did. This is like super weird, but hey, listen, I'm weird, so you're gonna have to deal with it. I did a picture recently, one of the abstract things, and I said it to someone. I was like, I thought that's what I look like without a body. Like, I feel like that's me, you know. Like, I've finally done it. Maybe one day I'll just draw me, and I'll be like, cool, I'm done now. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
the reason you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean, man. It's weird, isn't it? What you can do with your art and stuff like that. How did you meet Leanne then? How did she come into to your
I
journey?
tattooed her sister. No, sorry, her sister was my apprentice.
Oh, Leah.
And then, yeah, Leah was my
Right.
apprentice. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, again, how mad is that? So you've got two sisters there that are completely different. I mean, both known for the color work, but like, completely like chalk and cheese to a certain degree of what they actually choose to render on people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
Both amazing.
yeah. Oh, 100%. Exactly.
But you're right. Yeah, completely different. Yeah.
Yeah, completely different. And like, obviously, it didn't happen straight away. But when did you start to think how did it really first start, you two collaborating? Because it generally tends to be, it's for quite a while, dude, where it's been primarily just a collaboration journey between you two. I mean, I'm sure there will have been sessions in between where you'll have been working on your own piece and stuff, but when did it first come about that you were going to collaborate together?
It's difficult to remember now, but there definitely was a point. I remember having a conversation. We must have done something already, something like this, where she'd worked on a piece of mine or whatever. And I remember having this conversation. I was trying to sell it to her because I wasn't sure she was up for it. Maybe she just, maybe I thought she just might be happy doing her thing. And I was like, look, if you want to show people just how good we are, I've got an amazing idea. Like, if you want the world to see how amazing, like, I've got this idea. Like, I think we'd worked on some stuff, and I was like, what the hell? And she was like, I'm like, are you up for it? Like, do you want to show everyone how good you are? She was like, okay, I'm in. And like, honestly, I think that probably the best compliment anyone had ever given us about that. Someone said, like, both of your work was amazing on its own, but then when you work together, it was even better. Like another original style. Like, you both had an original style that was super cool. But then when you work together, and that's how it looked for a while, it was like I almost couldn't do my own work anymore because it just looked plain and simple. Like, it looked like it needed that little bit on it, you know?
I was going to ask you that because it's, I don't believe this anyway. I really, really love each of your individual work. And even now, if you'll render something, from what you've shown or anything like that, some of the last few pieces that you've done where it's just you, it's always just Jason's work, but it's like, I wondered if it ever got to the point where you're like, we've broken ourselves. Shit.
Yeah.
Like, I can't actually do another piece on my own now because I just want to have your input and I want like, that's what we've done there. And I just wondered if you'd actually broken yourself to a certain degree.
Yeah, I just thought that she makes my work look better, but then she thinks the same the other way around, I guess. So, but we still help each other when we're doing our individual things. I can't help it. I'm nosy like that. I'll always ask her opinion, and then I just give her my opinion whether she wants it or not. In a nasty way, but I'll just try and be like, what do you think about doing this little thing here or whatever? If she doesn't want it.
How do you feel about that though, as well? Because you must have had, you've had quite a few apprentices as well. The idea of, I mean, art is subjective as well, but the idea of being able to give critique, because I think critique's super important, and I've spoken about this to several other people before, but it really helps if someone's open and ready to receive it, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I would say we've had loads of people work for us. I've had a good few apprentices as well, and everyone's been good. I'd say everyone that's ever worked for us has left better than they were when they started. But the ones that can take that critique always are the amazing ones. And the other ones are still good, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
And maybe that's my bad. Sometimes I feel like I can't critique some people. Maybe they couldn't handle it. Like, I want to be able to just say it how it is. Like, and I don't mean anything bad. I'm trying to help.
Yeah.
Like, even if I say words that might sound like I'm being nasty, I'm just saying, like, if I said to you, that is shit,
Mm.
I don't mean like you're terrible. I just mean don't ever do that bit. Do you know what I mean? I just need you
Yeah.
to know that bit isn't good. It doesn't mean don't work on it and don't try and do something with it in the future. Like my apprentice at the minute, well, he's not really an apprentice anymore, Luke, who's maybe one of the best artists I've ever seen in my life.
He's incredible. Yeah, he is.
Unbelievable. And when he first started, he was doing this little etching style. And I was like, well, that was part of what he was doing. And I had to tell him once, I said, it's just not good. Like, don't do this, can't be the stuff you put out right now. I'm
Yeah.
not saying don't play with that because he obviously really enjoyed it. Keep working on it in your private time or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just not quite good. Now, oh my God, like he etches in metal now. It's the best thing I've ever seen in my life.
Unreal stuff.
But it was
Yeah.
so obvious that that was the thing he loved because he just kept doing it, even though it wasn't good.
Yeah.
But it was just happened to be a bit honest and say, look, at the moment, it's not really that good. Like maybe don't put it out there yet, but still keep on working. Like he's so cool. He'll just take any criticism like that.
Yeah, but that's cool as well for you, you know, to be able to give it. I honestly think that it's something within itself as well to stand in front of someone, and it can almost be seen, if the ego will not let it be, it can almost be seen as confrontational, and it's just not, you know, punching someone in the face is confrontational or trying to choke them out, you know,
And it
but
absolutely isn't though. Like
no, it's not.
I am more than happy for Luke to be better than me, to be more successful than me, and take no credit for that. I just see he's got talent and I want to help that. That's all it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, how did you stumble across
Sometimes,
him?
well, that's a funny story, really. That's the universe again for you.
There we go.
So when you said about Leah and Leanne, I think it was like Total Tattoo or something did an article about them being sisters and being amazing artists. And of course, my ego, I created both of them, of course. The article didn't even mention me at all, just said how amazingly talented their family were as artists. And I was like, what the fuck? I made you too. So I was like, that's it. I'm getting another apprentice that's got nothing to do with you two to prove that it was me. And then fucking Luke comes along and I'm like, well, he's the best one ever. And you know what? Like, honestly, it wasn't obvious when I first met him. He's just a nice lad. He's a young lad, super quiet. Wasn't even technically very good, but just had interesting ideas. Was just a little bit different. And then like literally, I tattooed him one time. Like he wasn't able to shade very well or this and that, like technical details. I tattooed his hand one day, and then from that moment on, he could just tattoo like a ninja. Like he was like, "Oh, cool, I've got it now." It was unbelievable. It was night and day. It wasn't even that good before, and then the next day, he was like, "Cool, I've got it now."
Do you think that's because he could actually see you doing it?
You could see it and feel it, and whatever. Like he just worked it out. And honestly, he's as good or better than I am technically, easily. From that day, he was like, "I've got it."
Yeah, it's again, yeah, that I mean to see that as well. It's got to be
That's
something
rare,
else.
isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. I think a few people have had that though. I think like I said about it a few times. It's weird how people take different paths. You know, like you obviously started off tattooing houses, and you probably look at them tattoos now and be like, oh, you know, and it probably happened for a few years before you were like, okay, that's okay, you know. But like, there's people out there that get put through the ringer first, and their first tattoo after that is just so well saturated, so well composed, well lined, and heals great and looks great. But even those can be anomalies at times. You know, it's weird.
Completely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was so nice with him because really, like when I have apprentices, it's not a lot about technique. I just more talk shit to them.
Yeah.
Like I talk about this stuff. To me, it's more like mindset. Like I want you to start thinking a certain way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I want to change the way you look at things and think about stuff. Because then I just want you to come out. I want the real you. Do you know what I mean? It's more about the art side of it. The technique side of it isn't that difficult, I don't think. And it's just practice. There's a few little things you need to learn. Like I remember my apprentice told me recently, and he's probably been there for like, it must be 8 or 9 years now, 7, 8 years, something like that. And he said, I felt so depressed one night when you told me. So I went home and you told me there's only lining, solid colors and soft edges. That's it. And he was like, I went home and I was like, what the fuck? Is that it? Like he was so depressed, but there's nothing else you can do. Like a line, a solid color, and then soften an edge. What else is there really, technically?
That's so true.
Right? And then it's just where you choose to put those bits to make your picture, right?
Yeah.
And that will just come with practice. Once you figured out, and there might be 2 or 3 ways you could do a line, 2 or 3 ways you could saturate a color, and same for shading. And then you just practice them until you find the one that works for you, and you're kind of good.
Exactly. Yeah. I always
It
remember.
sounds really terrible, doesn't it? It sounds really easy.
Yeah. No.
But that would still take years and years, unless you're Luke. That would take us years to figure that stuff out, right?
Yeah, and it obviously did. You went through periods of just. I think I remember trying to figure out how I could shade like Philip blue. You know, like if I'm gonna do or even like with you how you do large fields of gray, and then realizing it's just big mags and just but for the whole time just being like, oh, I've got the guy that taught me just primarily used 7 or 9 mags, and I was just like, well, that's all I should use. And it's just like, oh, I can't do that, can I? I can't, you know, I can't really create a nice, gentle, big field of gray with a small, tiny brush. It's not going to look, it's going to be inconsistencies and all that kind of thing, you know. Yeah, you're right. That's a very simple way to put it.
I remember two things actually. One of my friends once texted me and asked me that. Said, how do you do big areas of soft shading? And I'm like, do you think in a text message I can explain 20 years of experience?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And all it is I tried it one day, then I made a subtle adjustment, and then another one. Like, I can't even explain it to myself. Like, I just think my hand knows how to do that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's so many little thoughts and little adjustments you couldn't possibly remember.
No.
You couldn't possibly remember all that.
And again, it's different skin as well, isn't it? Especially when you're doing large fields of gray, how well the skin is ready to take it if it gets aggravated quick. And yeah, man, I definitely think that's true. You know, it's learned over a period of time, and I'm definitely still learning and having to, you know.
Sometimes it's just 2 passes as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing how smooth something can look with a second pass, isn't it?
Yeah.
How much more saturated it looks or whatever.
Yeah. I think that as well, being able to do second passes. I remember when I first ever started, it was the ethos of just like, as a tattoo, when I first ever got tattooed as a kid, I was 16 and I went in, boom, got this tribal tattoo, boom, back out again. I've got it, it's healed, it's done. You know, so when you grow up and you become a tattoo artist and you're like, I'm trying to escape the mindset first of, well, I've only got one shot at this, I've got to do it right. But then as you grow as a tattoo artist, you realize that no. I'm not just going to do one paint on a canvas and leave it and expect it to be the best painting I could do for that person. I'm going to paint it, then I'm going to come back and do another section. I'm going to look back and look at it with fresh eyes. I'm going to come in again. And that's how I'm going to finally end up with something that we're both happy with. You know what I mean? And I think it's lost on a lot of people. But now as tattooing gets older, it's not lost on people. People are generally wide awake to that, I'd say.
Yeah. That took, as an industry, that took us a long time to train our clients to let us have 2 passes.
Yeah.
You know, they just want the best work possible, right? But I think to start with, there was almost a coolness in just being able to do this in one hit. There was some kind of, you know, someone told me one time, like, I just started doing 2 passes on everything, and, you know, it was cool and everything. And the guy said to me once, he went, Robert Hernandez does it in 1 pass. He went, you should be able to do it in 1 pass. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. You know what I mean? I get it. You love Robert, and Robert can do it in 1 pass. But I'm sure, I mean, Robert's amazing, but I'm sure sometimes that heals well and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
If it doesn't, then I want to go back and make it. Like, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I can't sleep if there's work out there that I know I could make better and it isn't better.
Yeah.
I could make it perfect. I want to make it perfect, or as close to that, you know?
Yeah, it's true. Is that again as well? People talk shit, don't they? You know, like
that's his limitation, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's his mindset. But Robert probably doesn't even believe that. He's probably just seen that and he's decided, that's what makes Robert great. He does it in 1 pass. Robert is probably the most open-minded person ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He probably doesn't have any of that, you know.
I think a lot about it.
You realise it's all you limiting yourself, though, isn't it? That stuff is all you putting limitations on stuff. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the idea with that. It's good to see boundaries pushed, though, isn't it? Like, I don't know, like, even now, just seeing people do, even, I don't know. it's weird as you start to grow as a tattoo artist, and especially a tattoo artist, especially as well, seeing it grow so quick. Because I remember when realism, you know, there used to be a point where, I mean, and obviously people can still render it where it doesn't heal properly, or it doesn't
Mhm.
heal well, or and it's not sustainable for like 10 or however many years.
Yeah.
But when you see people actually cracking the code and being able to do a color portrait that heals well and lasts well for a long period of time,
Yeah.
because you know they've used all the you know, they've used hard edges,
Yeah.
black where it needs to be used, and all this kind of stuff. That's something that when it first came out, I mean, I remember doing tattoos years ago and just being like, yeah, man, that's nailed. And then 5 years later, you see it and you're like, oh, they need to come back. But you can't get them back because they as well, they think it's good, and they've got
Mhm.
to, and it's trying to convince them that I want you to come back, but I want you to pay me as well, because obviously, you
Yeah,
know,
because it's still part of the job, right?
yeah, yeah. It's like, that's the idea, isn't it? You know, what you just
Yeah.
said then. It's like, I'm still an artist doing something on you. But has there ever been a point in your head where you're like, you felt like you did, I don't know. I remember a point where I found it hard and I had to have a word with myself and be like, look, listen, this is the skill that you've got. People are going, people are going to pay you money to do it. You need to have that about you, you know, to be able to be like, look, this is the second session. I'm not doing it for free. I'm not doing it for half price. You're paying me the full price. This is what it is. Because it's always hard to, it was, for me at the
Terrible
start, it
at
was
that.
hard to charge.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really bad at that. I'm a really, it doesn't ever sound like it, so I come across quite direct and whatever, but I'm a real people pleaser.
Yeah.
I really struggle with saying that stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it has to be said, doesn't it? We're trying
Mm.
to find a way to say, look, I just want this to be the best it can be, and we're just going to tattoo it until it's as good as I can make it. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Not because I'm a dick. I don't want your money particularly. I've got other people that could be in the chair. Like, it's fine. I'm not trying to rob you. I just know I could make it perfect or close to it. Like, and it costs you a little bit more money, but you'll have a perfect tattoo. Like, this is what it's about, you know?
Yeah. And if
Even
they've,
in terms of hours, I don't know how many hours it takes until it's perfect. But
yeah.
roughly, but here's the ballpark, roughly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the hardest thing, isn't it? How long do you, I mean, God,
It's finding the words to say that to them, though, isn't it? Finding a way to.
yeah, I always find to say, try to say, I'm this much an hour, and it takes as long as it takes. And I'm not trying to say that in a really vindictive, horrible way, or I don't, like you said, I'm not in here, I'm not in the business to take all your money off you. I'm not trying to, you know, do that. But I'm gonna, like you said, I'm gonna do this until I'm like, yeah, okay, that's finished. You
Yeah.
know?
And genuinely, if I didn't need money, I would quite happily do this for free. I'd still do it. I would
Yeah,
still tattoo that person and I'd still give my best. Do you know what I mean? So it's not really about money.
yeah.
Yes, I want them to have, I want them to have the best tattoo.
It's true as that. I've always thought about that. The idea of if you if you won the lottery, or if somehow came across, you know, like a certain amount of money where you didn't have to work, would you still do it? And it's a massive yes. You know, you'd set up a studio in your house,
Yeah.
and as long as you could just do what you wanted to do and do the work, do your art as if you would do it on a canvas or whatever board you found, you would just do it on a human canvas and you'd do it for free. You know, it's like, because money is not an issue, and that, like you said, pushes to the point where you're not doing it for money. You're doing it because you love it, and you've got a passion about it. It's good. It's
Mm-hmm.
good though. I don't know, but
But it is tough to get people to. Well, it used to be tough. It's not too bad anymore.
yeah, yeah. But again, no, each and every single year offers up something different. To see you push and evolve yourself as an artist, every single year there's a different human that comes through the door that just affects you in a different way or gives you a different project. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there any other style that you are not? Are you literally doing what you're doing now? Because obviously, is you're not someone that I've ever seen do a traditional Japanese sleeve or anything like that. Is there any other style that you're envious that other people are doing that you're like, I wish I could do that? Or is
Not
that?
really. I don't really see it that way. Like I said, I'm trying to do the style. This sounds really pretentious, doesn't it? I'm just trying to do me.
No, it's
So
cool.
whatever that looks like. Like, I'd hate that there's a name for it or there's a style or whatever. I love those other things. And I love I just like it when an artist does something that's genuine.
Yeah.
And again, like you feel like you can tell when it's that. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I feel like I know when someone's real, when they're just trying to pull a move to look good or whatever. I don't mind that either, but I'm looking for people that are genuine, looking for people that are real.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. It's hard though. Do you have any, aside from all of this, do you have any other things that you do away from all of this? Because I'm so busy with hobbies in a sense of, aside
Mhm.
from the fact of tattooing, what other things do you do that take up your time, Jason?
Well, I'm probably the same as you. I have too many hobbies for the most part. I try and keep it to like 3 maximum. So I
Yeah,
just don't have time for other stuff. I'm obsessed with weird stuff from now and then. I'm obsessed with playing chess.
right.
I wish I wasn't. It just feels like, and it feels like it's under control at the minute. But
Under
there's times,
control.
you know what I mean? But there's times when you just have this hobby and you're like, I'm sure this is doing nothing for my life, but I just love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what it's doing for me, but I really enjoy it. Um, I like to say I work out a lot. I haven't worked out a lot in the last 6 months or so, but before that, I was obsessed with that for ages. I think I can get quite unhealthily obsessed with things quite easily. So,
Do you say, would you have an addictive nature, do you think?
yeah,
Yeah.
it is funny. It's a pretty serious thing to say when you say you're an addict, right? Like, how many people would say I have an addictive nature, but I'm not an addict?
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
realized that, like, I've been through some stuff. This is a couple of years ago. I've been through some stuff, like
Yeah.
whatever, some stuff with my daughter and whatever, and we
Yeah.
ended up seeing a counselor and this, that, and the other. And I was talking to a friend of mine. He's a super cool guy, and he does like acupuncture and some other bits and bobs. And he was telling me to read this book one day, and he said it's about trauma and addiction. And he goes, I'm not saying you're traumatized or addicted. And I just looked at him, I'm like, I am though, aren't I? And he goes, yeah. But it literally, it was almost upsetting when I found out, like when I realized, like, Jesus, I'm an addict here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you might as well be honest about it, mightn't you?
Yeah.
I've definitely got that kind of nature. I mean, but I never drink, I never do drugs or anything like that. So
No.
I didn't really put 2 and 2 together and think, oh, I didn't realize you could be addicted to work or you could be addicted to other things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know what you
But
mean.
now I'm just like, talk about it like it's nothing. I remember being like, what the fuck? I'm an addict.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
pretty heavy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? Do you have any, do you have any other hobbies? Do you like, what did you know, when you worked out, what did you used to do for working out?
Well, of course, because I'm addicted. I did CrossFit for about 9 years.
Right. Okay. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So you must have been quite fit then. Oh, you're
Yeah.
still obviously quite fit. Yeah. 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 Because I knew that the guys at the studio as well. I remember once you used to put like YouTube videos up from the shop. And there was as a predominant set of you that used to do jiu-jitsu. Did you ever partake in anything like that?
Yeah, I used to do that for a bit. Not very
Yeah.
long. Some of the other guys do it quite a lot.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
it was is I was always injuring myself doing CrossFit and other things. And I can't remember, I was doing some jiu-jitsu one day and I felt my knee tweak a bit and I was like, yeah, I don't need another injury. I don't need a knee injury. It
Yeah.
just felt like, Jesus, this could happen real easily. And
Yeah.
so I was like, yeah, maybe I need to find things that don't injure me as much, you know?
Fucking life injures you.
I know.
It
How
just
about
does.
yourself? What are you into?
Yeah, it's stuff that like I do like combat sports. Just I was doing jiu-jitsu, hammering it last year,
Yeah.
and then started this year to the point where I was thinking I want to just compete. Obviously, still white belt, but I was like, I want to compete and just push myself a little bit. But then lockdown came in and didn't do anything for a while. And then now, obviously, jiu-jitsu gyms are like way off. You can't get
Mhm.
that close to people legally. You know, there's still random people that I can train with because I mean, yeah, that's a completely separate object. I'm completely over the whole situation, but
Mhm.
you know, there are other people that you can train with in certain areas. But I just spend my time just doing boxing and stuff like that now. I like
Mhm.
hiking, going up mountains and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's
Me too.
really
I used to
cool.
box when I was younger as well.
That's wicked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I used to fight when I was young all the time. Like all kinds of different martial arts. Used to box and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I'm definitely not someone that I'm not a confrontational or angry
No,
person in any sense, but I just love I'm probably have certain traits like you in a certain sense. I like picking something I can get good at, you know, and trying to go down that journey of trying to get good at something.
Yeah, it's funny because I realized that with boxing when I was younger that I love boxing. Like still to this day, like I know so much about boxing. It's ridiculous. Like I don't know why I don't do anything with the knowledge I've got. I've got so much knowledge
Yeah.
of the history of boxing. It's ridiculous. But I realized I'm not really, I didn't want it enough, like to do it properly. It was nice
Okay.
to train and have a few fights and do whatever. But I'm not angry in any way, shape, or form. I don't really want to hurt anybody. But I love the technique and the skill of the mind, you know, like learning how to sort of pretend that you're not hurt or scared when you are and that kind of stuff. Like it's so interesting.
Yeah, because that's and as well, like there's two different components that you were talking about there, isn't it? There's the skill of being able to hit and not get hit, and then there's the skill of when you get hit, having the mental fortitude to not show any weakness and show any pain, and that's two different sides of being physical and being mental as well. And I think that in a lot of different ways is the key to a lot of different things, isn't there? You know, but definitely in real time combat sports is one of them. You could admire someone who's on a really high level being able to fight to the point where they are exhausted, but also being able to still carry on being physical whilst also playing chess with someone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
Fucking, I love humans. We're an incredible species, and just being able to watch certain ones do certain things and flex certain muscles is something that I will love until I die, I think, you know.
I used to love breakdancing when I was young as well.
See, that's cool.
That's
That's cool.
going to be in the Olympics, apparently. Not this Olympics, the next one, apparently.
Wow,
That's
really?
yeah, when you watch breakdancing, it's like, where are these people from? What planet do these people, how can you do that with your body? Like, it's so clever.
Yeah, I don't. Some people like can do, especially with, like you said, with breakdancing. Some of the moves they do, and I don't know how they're not snapping arms, tearing ligaments, and all this
It's
kind
real
of stuff.
physical genius, though, isn't it?
Mm,
Like, it's
yeah,
so obviously physical genius, right?
yeah, yeah,
It looks like the most fun gymnastics ever,
yeah.
right? Gymnastics looks a little bit like formulated and whatever.
It does. It's true. Yeah, but it's true though that it does look formulated. But even when you
I
can
mean, it's
be,
incredible. But
yeah, exactly. You can be perplexed by a
yeah.
gymnast, and just you can watch a routine and just be like, "What the fuck? How are you doing that?" You know.
Right? And then you go hang from some rings, and you're like, "What? How do they do that?"
Yeah, it always used to blow my mind how they could stand on a really thin board, you
Yeah,
know, like and just do a backflip and land, like, you know, on a thin board, on a thin line, on a thin line, you know, where I, you got to fight the flinch with a lot of things, haven't you? Being able to fight the flinch to do that, because you know that the injury is gonna. I think you start to lose that as you get older. You know, there's a certain amount of like, oh, I don't want to break a bone, or I don't want to die. But when you're younger, it's so much more open. You're so much more open to actually commit to something.
yeah, but maybe you've been hurt a lot more now, right? You know how it
Yeah,
feels.
yeah. You know how long it takes to recover from something.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't want to take up much more of your time, but honestly, I fucking really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm glad that you said yes to talking to me, because you, man, I'm gonna blow smoke up your ass. You're one of them people, man, who I continually admire, and I've always admired, and you've always been evolving as an artist. And I think I'm just excited to see what you're gonna do if we just for the next few years, because your large scale work that you do on your own. I love what you do with Leanne, but your large scale work that you do on your own has always been something. I remember seeing it walk around, a guy with doing a back piece that you did a back piece, and he was walking around London, and it was just mind blowing. And I'm always into seeing you do things on a massive scale, whether it's a back piece or full sleeve. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna, because it can get quite annoying, but I've always looked up to you, man. So thank you for talking to me.
It is super difficult to take a compliment, as you know.
Yes.
But thank you so much. That means a lot to me.
No, and I'm excited to see what you do. And once this is all up and everything, I'll send you the link to it and everything, and you can.
Yeah, brilliant.
No worries, man. Thank you very much. I'll see you.
Thank you.
Hope to see you at a convention soon.
Yes.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care.
Bye bye.